Good morning, welcome back. Today I wanted to try and be a little bit more positive, I think is the word, and think of what some of the benefits may be to having Aspergers are. In all my previous videos I've kind of discussed at great length my constant struggles, and it's come across as I think maybe as like negative, like it's a heavy burden, and it has been at times, but that's not the norm really. For the sake of the videos, I was just trying to articulate the areas that I have problems in, but of course if I were to list all the areas I don't have problems in, then that would be many more videos. So it seemed possibly a bit one-sided that, you know, having Aspergers was a really bad struggle, but as I said, it's just in places. So today I thought it would be a good idea to try and think of what some of the positives can be and are of having Aspergers, but when I sat down and tried to do it, I really struggled to think of positives that I would think are positives. I can't stand back and be objective about it, because obviously to have opinions on on the benefits of having something, you've really had to have not had it at some point to make those comparisons valid. So because I've always had Aspergers, I can't really say what it's like to be neurotypical, and therefore I can't say what the disadvantages or advantages would be of having Aspergers. So I've had to kind of twist it a little bit and talk about what I think are positives to having Aspergers from a neurotypical point of view. So I think the best way to do that is to describe what I think neurotypicals would classify as good character traits in a person that also happen to be the strengths of someone with Aspergers. So that would include things like I'm an honest person, always tell the truth, have great difficulty in lying for reasons that we've spoken about previously, honest and trustworthy. The concept of stealing, taking other people's property, or doing things that are unlawful or deceitful don't sit very comfortably with me, and through my research I believe that's a common trait in people with Aspergers. Good at problem solving, always a good person to go to try and solve a problem for somebody, or to shine fresh light on a situation. Now, always I'd be a good person having a crystal maze or on a quiz team. You know, I've got good knowledge, I've got good understanding, and I think laterally, so I can circumvent problems sometimes and come at them from other avenues, which neurotypical people sometimes don't see. So what else would a neurotypical class as a good character trait? I'm loyal. If you're going to be friends with an Aspie or a work colleague, even, you know, you are loyal to people. You know, I'm good at timekeeping. I'm so rarely late for anything. and if I am, it's things out of my control, and you can guarantee I probably left way too early anyway, and I've just come across a problem. So I'm really good at timekeeping. I'm hard working. I can stay focused on something for a very long time. That would mean sometimes doing a job or a task that neurotypical people would get bored of in like 5 minutes. I can do. So they're the kind of positives maybe that if you're looking at an Aspie from a neurotypical's point of view, you see those traits in them, and you know where you stand. Honest, reliable, trustworthy. Good to have around in a situation where you need some problem solving. But then there's a flip side to that, of course. What neurotypicals see in me, as an example, that aren't positives, they're probably reasons for not wanting to talk to me or be friends with me or interact with me once they've got to know me a little bit. So, down the years, I used honesty as a positive. Well, honesty can come across as being rude and blunt. Telling people how it is and not really caring for their feelings about how they're going to receive that truth. I'm not very spontaneous. I'm not a thrill seeker. I stick to routines, so that's boring. That's someone who's dull. I'm very, very sarcastic. That's like a default thing for me. I would say I wasn't sarcastic. I would say I'm trying to lighten the mood and be funny. Use humour to try and bond with neurotypicals. Everyone likes a funny man or someone who cracks a funny joke. But I can understand how that can come across as being sarcastic. So sometimes that's not such a great quality. What else would people? I can come across as someone being distant, a bit of a weirdo because I don't like talking to people. I don't want to be engaging in the everyday conversation. I keep myself to myself. I can have engaging conversations with people as long as it's something that I'm interested in. I've got no interest talking about the weather, what was on TV last night, what's happening in Love Island. I don't even want to talk to you about that. It's meaningless, and I can't do it. That can come across obviously as someone who's withdrawn, dull, weird, because I won't participate in those niceties that neurotypical people feel the need to participate in constantly. What else would people look at me and say was a negative? Lack of empathy and sympathy. I don't have much sympathy for any persons, or empathy. I can't put myself in other people's shoes, so to speak. I can't see other opinions, the other side of the argument. I struggle to comprehend other people's thinking, so that can come across as being stubborn. I ask too many questions, which can be really annoying. It's not a good character trait. If you're always constantly asking for information and updates, that can come across as tedious very quickly. And I think the lack of emotion, or the lack of visible and verbal emotion. So I don't articulate my feelings, I don't talk about my feelings, I don't show emotion very well at all. Not to say I don't have these feelings, I just don't have the mechanisms to communicate them or convey them. Doesn't mean to say I don't have the feelings or emotions, I just don't show them, I suppose. So all those traits can come across as someone you don't really want to be hanging about with or be interacting with. So that's how I see the positives and negatives from a neurotypical point of view, what people would see in me and how they would come to form a judgment and an opinion of me. But for me to say what positives there are for me personally, as I said, I can't be objective. I've never been non-autistic to be able to give a valid answer to that question. There are some things I wish I didn't struggle with, like the social interactions. I wish I could be sociable. That would have changed a lot in my life. Maybe not for the good, maybe for the worse, I don't know, but those are the situations that I've had most turmoil in my life, the social interactions. And if I could have taken that one thing out of my life, I think I would have taken that. The other things, they're all things I can get round a lot easier. I mean, I'm a generally content person, satisfied as long as I've got time on my special interest, as we spoke in earlier videos about. I go to work to earn money to pay the bills. I don't go to work because I like work or because I like seeing my work colleagues. If I could, my dream job would be working on my own, doing something that was very structured, probably very repetitive, that involved a high level of skill and a very high level of attention to detail. That would be my ideal job. I think having Aspergers is something I don't often think about like this, so I can't really answer that question. The question that I see some people being asked is, if there was a cure for autism, would you be interested in that? And that's a difficult question. I mean, most people default to no, certainly not. But I don't know what it's like not to have it. If I could experience life without it and then go back to having it to make comparisons, I don't know. That's the only way I could give someone an answer to that question. I thought that might be interesting. If there's any other things you'd want me to talk about, just leave a comment, and I'll try and do a video about those. But once again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.